The Black Garden by Dark Law. In the heart of night where shadows dance, there blooms a garden, rich and vast, a place where love and truth entwine, entangled roots and vines divine. Beneath the moon's soft silver light lies hidden paths to endless night. Here whispers echo, raw and deep, of love once lost and secrets keep. In every petal, stories bloom of passion's fire and tender doom. The thorns may pierce, the darkness calls, yet in this garden no one falls. For in the shadows truth is found, in whispers soft, yet so profound. The black garden, where hearts are bared, a place where souls are deeply shared. In the deep dark soil of night lies seeds of hope, of wrongs made right. Here in this garden, lovers learn that from the ashes they can burn. With every step the light may fade, yet in this place foundations laid. The black garden where love takes root in soil rich with life's pursuit. Through storms and winds, the petals cling, and in the darkness, hearts will sing. For here in shadows, truth does start, the black garden where we find our heart. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Creative Dominion podcast with your host, Dark Law. And we're alive at 5 for another episode of the wonderful Black Garden series, episode 21. And boy, do we have a special guest for you. We have the auntie from the winner's circle, the blemished beauty, your favorite Jersey girl, Auntie SheRa Renee. How you doing, Auntie?
I'm good. How are you, nephew?
I'm doing well, and we're just excited for this Black Garden series releasing in September 2024. It's been a jam-packed 20 plus episodes thus far. And again, your favorite Jersey girl is going to knock it out on the park, because when we go inside Black Garden, we're going to talk about a lot of things that are going to really hit home for our audience. But before we do that, Blemish Beauty, can you tell the audience who you are?
Well, as my nephew so eloquently put, I am his auntie, SheRa Renee from New Jersey, aka your favorite Jersey girl, and I am the host of the Blemish Beauty podcast.
Thank you. And again, it is your favorite Jersey girl because she is in New Jersey. And so as I start with every episode, everything that's said here today may not resonate with you, but like I said, inside the Black Garden, there is no remorse and we take no prisoners. And so before we join in, like I've been saying every episode thus far, for the most part, grab your Band-Aids, your Neosporin, your peroxide, your ice packs, because the thorns of the Black Garden, they may prick you a little bit. You might have to patch yourself up when you go deep down some of the darkness inside your dating and relationship life as you're listening. And so I just encourage all the audience members that are viewing and listening, because we are now on YouTube. And so feel free to check us out on YouTube for the Black Garden series. We'll be releasing and debuting on YouTube as well as Spotify and the other platforms. And so I encourage everyone to take one thing that is said today and apply it daily to your life to decree the dominion of your own mind and again, become the best version of yourself. And as we always say, we go through the darkness, we dwell in the darkness, but we sleep in the light. And so welcome inside Black Garden. And so first thing we're going to talk about is, how do you navigate finding love through heartbreak? And so time after time again, we can go all the way back to your first love in high school for some of us. And we have that one that just hurt us so bad. For most, it's, maybe it could be with the person you had children with. For most of us, it could be in college. It could be the one crush that you had that let you down. Everybody has that one moment where you may not remember exactly what the other person did, but you know exactly how you felt at that moment. And some people are still carrying that trauma with them daily. And so, again, we're already inside the Black Garden, so no going back. And so we're going to have a great heartfelt conversation with the blemished beauty on how she overcame the blemished beauty. And so, with that being said, what is your take, or walk us through your journey, a little bit of your opinion on how you move past heartbreak to continue to strive for greatness?
So I would say how you move past heartbreak is first learning how to heal. A lot of the times when we get in relationships and then we leave those relationships, we go right into another relationship. And in doing that, you are not healing from the previous relationship. So you are taking on certain things or carrying certain things. It's kind of like if you are traveling and you're going from one destination to the other, you're not dropping off your bags. You're still traveling from one destination to the other with the same luggage that you had from the last trip. So you're not unpacking anything. You're carrying the same thing. So all the dirty clothes and all that, whatever it is, you're carrying those same clothes. You're carrying that same luggage. So you have to, like, when you go on a trip and you come home, you unpack. You have to unpack to learn what it is that you did wrong, learn where you are now because you might be a different person. You just have to learn some things about you and kind of like recalibrate and ground yourself. So then the next relationship that you get into, you're better than ever.
I love that you said that, because how many times, I want to challenge the audience real quick. How many times have you met someone new and they say, and you do something or you say something, you go to this restaurant and they say, well, my ex used to do this. Oh, my ex used to do that.
Mm.
Or they say, this is what my ex didn't do. Oh, I've never been to Red Lobster. I've never been to Ruth Chris. My ex never took, we all only went to McDonald's. How many times do we go through those situations? And that's just like Auntie is saying, is, you're never unpacking in life. You're never unpacking in life. And for those of you that travel a lot, what happens when the suitcase gets too full? The zipper busts at the seams, the
Hmm.
threads come loose, and now you have to throw the luggage away and get new luggage. And so I encourage everyone today is, you're not broken. You're not busting at the seams. You're not discardable. Again, everyone has the power to decree the domain of their own mind, and you owe it to yourself to unpack. Your parents can't do it for you. Your kids can't do it for you. Your ex, your divorcee, your ex-husband, ex-fiance, ex-girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever, there is not their job to help you unpack. You owe it to yourself to unpack that baggage. And then time after time again, also try to add more into the luggage that's already busted up in the seam. And then you get frustrated, like, why can't I find the right one? Or why is this not working? It's because you got some dirty socks in there from 10 trips ago that's supposed to have been in the washer or
Hmm.
thrown out because they got holes in them, and you're still trying to clean clothes. How many times when you go just on a traveling standpoint, you notice every time you go on a new trip that you have new clothes that are just out the wash? When you wear a suit, when you're traveling for business and you have a suit, where do you go? The dry cleaners. And you have it all wrinkle free in the little garment bag on the nice, you don't get the Dollar Tree hanger, you get the nice suede hanger. Everybody knows that nice suede hanger where it don't even lean and fall off. And so the question I have for the audience is, why don't you treat your life like
Hmm.
you keep getting the dollar, you keep getting the broken hangers, and you get the unclean clothes, and you try to pack the unclean when you're trying to seek out that, the ideal significant other. And what happens when clean clothes go with dirty clothes? They begin to stink. And so there's a lot of us living right now that mentally, emotionally, psychologically, you're stinking up what you are trying to make a great relationship. And so I want to talk about that. What are some red flags that you would notice that maybe you need to heal before you get into a relationship?
Well, you mentioned one, constantly talking about your ex. That's a red flag. Not being able to communicate. And I'm not saying like vocally express yourself, because some people do struggle with that. I mean, like, if I'm telling you something and you automatically on the defense and you're yelling, not being able to agree to disagree, not knowing who you are, not having a plan or a goal for your life, because as the men, you are the leader, you are the head of the house. So if you don't have a plan for yourself, you definitely don't have a plan for us. And we can't add to or help assist without a plan, right? So red flags is definitely not knowing who you are, not knowing how to communicate, how you treat people. That's a red flag for me. I think everybody has their own individuals, but for me, that is a big red flag. Not being able to be a nice human. If you can't treat the like you said going out to eat, right? If you are disrespectful to the waiter, that's a big red flag for me. Because that means if you disrespectful to the waiter, you'll be disrespectful to anybody. If you can talk to, like, if we're in an Uber, because we're in Jersey, if you're in an Uber or like a taxi or whatever the case may be, and you talk to the person who's driving, that means you have like good character. You know how to talk to people. You can maneuver around. And especially as a podcaster, I know that's something that I need in a person. So I look for things like that. But yeah, that was a red flag that I saw, but I missed. So for me now, moving forward, definitely seeing how you interact with people, how you talk about people or to people, how you feel about your parents, your family, how you talk about people who do you wrong, how you show up in those spaces. Those are red flags for me.
Well, you said a big one, and as you were speaking, it reminded me of the word accountability. How many times do we go through situations, and it goes right back to talking too bad about your ex? When are you going to take accountability for your actions, right? Like she was saying, if let's say obviously the past relationship didn't work out because you wouldn't be seeking a new one, right? So again, what she's saying, like, agree to disagree. This the common sense is if I'm on a date with somebody, I'm not in a relationship, for most people that have morals. So they already know that you have some kind of ex, that you don't have to, if it comes up on why the relationship departed, I challenge the listeners and viewers. What do you say? Do you say, oh, we all know? And it's not just men or it's not just women, it's both parties. So both parties need to hold each other accountable to their own actions. But we're going to go both sides here. How many times have you seen the girl like, he don't do nothing. He didn't cook. He didn't clean. He don't work. He don't take me out to dinner. He didn't love me. He didn't, cuddle with me like I wanted to. He didn't nothing. And then on the flip side, the girl, she don't cook, she don't clean, she don't wash clothes, she don't do this. But what did you do?
Mhm.
Or he or she disrespected me, was cussing and doing this, and always I had a everybody loves to say woman. Every man loves to say women. Every, not real man wants to always say, and all these women, they got attitudes. They all got attitudes. Man, she's always tripping. Every time, but what behavior did you exude or what energy did you give off and reciprocate to contribute to that attitude? Again, everybody, like we're saying, it's always that one-sided. Well, and then what is the new person to think? I'm sitting there eating a steak dinner, and this, for a woman, like, hey, this man was crazy. I'm gonna have to, go upside his head. I got my fork and knife. I'm looking over my shoulder, eating my potatoes. Like, dang, he following you. You made this man sound crazy, and then vice versa. Like, the woman's looking at you like, yeah, she was crazy. She wouldn't let me have no friends. She was always going through my phone, and she's got her little heels on in the dress, and she's like eating a little wedge salad, drinking a little wine. Like, and this girl gonna come in here, pop off, And so you have to think about that when you're talking about, even if you ever bring up your exes, because you have to understand the perspective of the new person. what are they to think of you? Like, so you just love crazy people?
Right.
And so what I always said, especially me, I'm a single father of twin boys. I never, and this is a free tip, y'all. Obviously, I have twin boys that are 6 years old. Every woman always asks me personally. I tell you, I have kids before we even. You got it. Hey, I'm a joint custody. Get them 7 days a week. I got twin boys. They on the moment. They on the cover of my phone. You always go know I have kids. That's the first tip. Let people know you have kids.
Mhm.
Second tip. I've never, ever, ever back talk the mother of my kids to another woman. And that's just something that's a free tip. But if you're sitting on a date with a new person, and this goes both ways, I don't need to hear that your baby daddy ain't nothing. I don't need to hear that your baby daddy ain't nothing. The question that needs to be had is, hey, this relationship, it didn't work out. Yeah, the father's not in their life, but this is what I'm doing as a woman to make ends meet. That's
Yeah.
what we want to hear is what's the solution to the problem? You can't control, you're dating me now. You're on the date, you're not on the date with your baby dad. You're on the date with me. So what are you doing? Contribute to your children's future. Because the Bible again says leave an inheritance for my children's children. It doesn't say complain about the baby daddy every new man you meet and then do whatever. And so that's what I'll say on that. Sorry about the baby daddy, baby mama rant, but times out of times we just see a lot of people, to your point, just, living in that mediocrity of always blaming the opposite sex or always blaming, he didn't do this, she didn't do that. We just have to be accountable to each other. And so how do you, in your opinion, what is your take on holding people accountable to their own word?
Some people need gentle reminders. A lot of people don't know that their stuff stinks because nobody was bold enough to tell them. So how I hold people accountable, I will give them gentle reminders. And if they continue to act in a way where they say one thing and do another, then they are not considered accountable. And with that, I remove myself because accountability is vital for me. Accountability is something that I need. So, we all are human. We all have things going on. Some things may slip your mind. So those gentle reminders are kind of nudge you to get back to where you be or to remind you to do what you said you were going to do. But if you're saying something just to appease a person and you're saying something, to hush them up or whatever, why ever you said it, and this is a consistent thing, then that's a character flaw. That's who you are. So with that, you have to decide if that's something you want to deal with or if that's a deal breaker. And for me, that's a deal breaker.
I love that you said that because you said either a character flaw or if it's just a one-off. And I think a lot of times, both parties, we ignore those red flags and the flaw. They always say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, that's on me.
Mhm.
And so if you keep getting fooled, then that person has shown you who they are. I'll give a quick tip. I was watching a sports show a couple years back, a well-known sports broadcaster, but he said something about, it was about football, but it resonated with real life. He said, you take someone's greatest moment. If you're in a relationship right now, I challenge the audience, your significant other, take the greatest thing they've ever done for you. Take the best moment of how they made you feel and marinate on that. Now, on the flip side, take the worst thing they've ever done to you in your relationship or to you as a person. Think about the worst emotion they made you feel. And he said, cancel those out. And every day, every moment, every situation in between is who they are as a person. Again, take the best that you felt, the best moment, take the worst moment and omit them. Every day, every moment, every hour in between those two moments is who they are as a person. And so a lot of times the truth is already revealed to us. We just don't have to choose to see it.
Absolutely.
And so I know a lot of people are like, wow, this is great. This is a wonderful journey inside the Black Garden thus far. And so they're probably wondering, you know, what is your greatest heartbreak? And so we're going to break it down. And so first I want to talk about is, what is the definition, in your opinion, of heartbreak?
Heartbreak for me is devastating. Heartbreak for me is, well, in my opinion, I will say having the idea somebody can do the worst possible thing and that happening. Even it's happening, that thing happened, or something more severe happened. So heartbreak for me is the reality of that moment actually taking place in real time. Because that's what relationships are, right? Relationships is giving a person the ability to break your heart, but taking a leap of faith and trusting that they will never do it. And heartbreak is the reality that this person that you gave that access or power to did that thing.
I love that you said that, because the reason I wanted to ask that before we get into the exact, our own personal testimony, is because a lot of times we throw words out there, like, just like the word love, right? We all say, I love you. There's different, in the Bible, there's different actual versions of love. There's God's love, mother loves, children's love, intimate love. And a lot of times we just throw word, you broke my heart. Or quit playing, you broke my heart. And then a lot of times we just, oh, I love you. And we say a lot of words that have significant meaning, but we try to diminish the meaning. And so for me personally, heartbreak is the unbecoming betrayal of someone you cherish intimately. The betrayal. And the reason I say betrayal is because when you're looking in the relationship, every relationship is a union. The definition of relationship is union. You are united with another person. And it's not always romantically. Family relationship, we're united by blood bond. Your friendships, think about your friendships. Friendship is having a common mission or common interest, and you're united by that. So all your friends love football, you're united by football.
Good.
In a relationship, an intimate relationship, you are united by the faith, faith is the things, a hope of things hoped for, but yet unseen. And so you date somebody with the mindset of the potential of, look what I can accomplish with this person. And so when you are heartbroken, all those dreams, all those goals, all the vacations, all the house, the car, the potential children, the wedding, the ring, the cake, whatever you envision life with that person has now came crashing down. And so that's my definition of heartbreak. And so as we continue, take us through the birth of Blemished Beauty and how you were able to overcome heart.
So the Blemished Beauty podcast, that was birthed out of my second divorce. Growing up, I was brought into this term that the old folks used to say, children should be seen and not heard. And that trickled into my relationships, whether platonic, romantic. But this last particular relationship that I was in, this last marriage, he would tell me I had a voice, but the actions and how he treated me made me fearful to use my voice, if that made any sense. So once we decided to divorce and separate, I started to really tap into what I had to say, how I was feeling, and navigating through my healing journey. So the Blemished Beauty podcast, season 1 and 2, is my virtual healing journey in real time. I talk about the things I wish I knew prior to getting married. I talk about my miscarriage. I talk about knowing who you are and just all of the things that I was thinking about, dealing with, struggled with. That's the Blemished Beauty. Owning your scars, admitting that you are not okay, even though you're saying you're okay. You're smiling on the outside and you're this beautiful person, but on the inside, there are so many blemishes and scars, whether that's from childhood or recent traumas. And we cover them up not with makeup, but with words or clothes or whatever tangible things that we can think of. That is the total existence of what the Blemish Beauty podcast stands for and what it's about.
You said that because it reminded me of a poem I wrote. Whispers are broken, guardian of the voiceless voices here. I hope that encouraged somebody that is listening and viewing, because what she said, I hope you heard what she said at the very beginning. And the reason I asked her to explain the premise of Blemish Beauty, because it's light at the end of darkness. Darkest moments lead you to the light. There is no light. This is literally the of light. So you cannot have this without light. The reason I wanted her to explain that, because what she said at the beginning, I hope it resonated. She said that after the darkness, after the divorce, which going through the divorce is the darkest part. But first you have to make the decision to divorce. And I know there's somebody on here that's going to listen to this episode that knows it's time to leave, but has yet to make up the decision. And so the hardest part is the decision, but then it's going through the darkness to get to the light. And so what she said at the beginning is, throughout the marriage, my voice did not matter. It was portrayed that it mattered, but it did not matter to the other person. And once I got out of the darkness, Blemish Beauty was born. And so greatness comes out of the light after you go through the darkness. And so I encourage everyone to look at your darkest moment. Look in the mirror right now and think about your darkest moment. Think about your darkest moment. And I want you to think about the best thing that happened right after you were delivered from that darkest moment. It's countless actors, actresses, authors, athletes, pastors, preachers. Everybody in this world has had a great thing happen after a dark moment or dark time in their life. Every memoir, every story you ever read of somebody great that did something great or invented something or did a great act in America, in the world, if you listen to their story, whether it's childhood, whether it's through college, whether it's through learning how to master their craft, everyone went through a very dark moment. And the commonality between it all is they made the decision to focus on the assignment and keep going. And so I encourage everybody to, again, focus on your assignment. What is your purpose? What is your why? And if that why and purpose is greater than you, you're always going to come out of that darkness. And so she has been able to develop a wonderful Blemish Beauty podcast that came out of, again, like she said, owning her scars, owning the darkness. And I encourage the viewers as well. A lot of times we're taught to bury the darkness, don't talk about it, especially growing up in church. I was always taught, for me personally, my darkest moment is going through the situation with the children's mother. And so growing up in church, we're always taught that, and this happened. The crazy thing is me and my mom had children at the same age. So my mom had me at 21. I had the twins at 21. And so similar circumstances, but just switched. And so when my mother found out she was pregnant with me, my dad's side of the family, obviously we grew up in church. In church, you're told there is no kids out of wedlock. So you're told, hey, y'all did this act. Y'all got to get married now to make it seem right in the eyes of the Lord. And so unbeknowingly, being 21 years of age, my parents got married. Several years later, again, I found out I'm having twins, and it's like, hey, ideally not to have kids out of wedlock, because that's how I was raised. The ideal path is to stay together and get married. And so my darkest moment, my hardest moment was going through that situation and making a decision to partner with my children's mother and agree to co-parent and have joint custody before the twins were born. And so the reason why I say that's my darkest moment is because of going through the betrayal of oneself. And so just growing up in church, I always said when I had kids, I wanted to be happily married. And, you want the white picket fence and the 2-car garage, 2 cars, the, big backyard, the little dog, and live happily ever after. And so I had to come to terms with, hey, this relationship is better suited for my children that we go our separate ways romantically for the betterment of not only the children, but also their mother. And so the reason why that's the darkest moment is because, and I want to talk to the men real quick. There's a lot of you in relationships where I'm not saying you're less than, but to grow to your greatest version of yourself, you have to allow your partner to go. You have to let go, not for you, but for them. And by doing that, you're automatically going to grow yourself, because a lot of times in relationship, we hold each other back, and we hold each other back on the false premonition that greatness will come out of a situation that is no more. And so if you look at a tree, and we go through the seasons of life, just like the seasons of weather. And I want you to, if you have a big tree in your front yard, look at that tree right now because it's summertime. And you'll see it's full of leaves, full of life. And as the months turn, the next couple months, you'll notice the leaves are all going to fall off. You're going to be yelling and screaming outside when you have to rake and, use the leaf blower. And then a year from now, actually less than a year, but in the springtime, but especially a year from now, you'll see the same leaves back on that tree. And so I want to encourage the men out there. You're holding on to a relationship that both parties could mutually benefit from letting go. And so the reason I share that is because by me letting go of the relationship for the betterment of the twins and their mom, she was able to, purchase a house, about to graduate college and get a degree. I was able to move up in corporate America, obviously, start a podcast, and the twins are prospering in school at the almost age of 7. And the reason I share that with you all is because the children see and hear everything. If I would have stayed in a relationship and it didn't work and it was toxic, the children's behavior, and a lot of us wonder why our children are acting out in school. It's because they come home and see how you unknowingly treat each other. And it's not always the cussing. It's not always not saying, well, you never cuss each other out, but it's not always, just for example, it's not always the arguments and the loud, noticeable stuff. It's they come home, they just cook dinner and they don't hug each other, don't kiss each other. They on their phones when they watch TV. We never have family time. My dad or mom, they never hug me. We never have family moments. We never go out to eat together. We never sit down and cuddle and watch movies. We never have popcorn night. And your kids are not going to say that because, again, they're just children. But psychologically, and think about yourself when you were a kid. You saw everything, you noticed everything. You can probably remember, what you used to, everybody remembers of what they used to eat for breakfast in the morning, their favorite cereal, their favorite candy. And everyone on listening and viewing, notice. If you go to the store right now and see your cereal or the candy or the show, even TV shows that you watched as a kid, you're going to I instantly recognize Scooby-Doo, even though I'm almost 30. Why? Because that was my show growing up. Reese cups, you instantly, if they made a new Reese cup wrapper And I found out, when I be like, hey, this is what they used to look like when I was a kid. And the reason for that is, as a child, your mind soaks up everything. And like Maya Angelou said, you may not always know what they did, but you'll always remember how they made you feel. And so your children always see that. And so I just want to encourage the fellas out there that are stuck in limbo within your relationships. If it's time to let go, talk to God and let it go so that you both can grow.
That's good that you said that. I like that you said that. That reminded me of my first marriage. We were in our 20s as well. We had our son at 23. So imagine being 21, like you said, 22. You don't know too much about life yet. You think you do, but you have no idea. And you're having this child, or in your case, children. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure being a parent, and then let alone being a whole wife and a whole husband. And now you have to bring this child into the world. And again, if you are under that Christian umbrella, they do force that upon you and saying, get married, and you have to make an honest woman out of her. What does that even mean? Because if you spend a whole marriage being cheated on, it's like, okay, you got to make an honest woman out of me in your standards, but at the same time, you're making me look stupid out here in real life because you're cheating on me. So that took bravery for you guys to say, okay, listen, yeah, we know we having these kids, but at the same time, we need to also take a moment to separate ourselves and get everything that we need to get so we can set ourselves up. So when you do want to be in a relationship, or if y'all ever did decide to get back together, now y'all have a foundation to build upon, degrees and a good job and all that stuff, because the pressure of doing all of that while having kids and a marriage and trying to build, that's hard. That's hard. Marriage is not for the weak. And people say that all the time, but that is definitely true. It takes a lot of work. And if you're not mentally prepared for that, that can definitely break you guys. So I'm glad that you guys took that route that y'all did.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people, the reason I don't always tell that story, but the reason I wanted to share, especially in the Black Garden, is because a lot of people have that false notion that, I just want to let everybody know, for both parties, if you have kids with someone, you don't have to belittle them. You don't have to always argue. There's a negative connotation with kids, not being married and having kids in society. Everybody thinks that, oh, it's my baby mom, or I don't even like the word, I always use child's mother, but they always, in society, it's always like, I gotta, if I don't do this, she's gonna have an attitude and do this. And it's always like, your baby mama, you can't date nobody else because you got kids with somebody. And there's a really restriction on life that society tries to place on us that have children that are not married to the person we had children with. And that's just not the case in reality. And so I encourage everyone that if you are in a co-parent relationship, or maybe you're going through a divorce right now and you have kids, you can cordially co-parent and happily co-parent. I want to say happily because your children see your happiness. They see your face when you pick them. They see your face when you drop them off. They see your face on the holidays. They see your attitude when it's time to, go back to mommy's house or go back to daddy's house. They see at the events, like, the twins are in first grade. They did their little kindergarten graduation earlier this year. Both of us were there to cheer them on and take pictures. And again, they won't always say that, but they'll remember that moment of, oh, my mommy and daddy's here. But again, they know, we co-parent. They know, oh, yep, it's, see you next week, daddy, see you on Sunday. So they already know, the children know. That's the moral of the story. Children know. And don't let your life pass you by thinking that they never knew. Because I want to say this for all the older parents as well. As your children get older and go to teenage years and get to college and get to adulthood, they're always going to remember that. And so a lot of times parents, especially I see older parents, are like, my kids don't talk to me no more. They don't want nothing to do with me. And I did the best. We always say, oh, we did the best they could. I gave them this, I gave them that. But they remember how you made them feel for those 18 years. And so there may be some unhealed trauma. So check out that childhood trauma series I dropped in January for my first debut of the Create Dominion, because again, I go through again that childhood trauma of, and a lot of that stuff gets unknown by the parents, because again, as a child, you don't have that voice you're not going, a 10-year-old, you're going to get slapped in the face if you go up to your parents and say, man, mama, you disrespected me. I don't like, you gonna hush your mouth, boy. You do them dishes and be quiet. I put a roof over your. I put a roof over your head. I feed you. You be quiet. So, with that being said, what is some last minute motivation that you could give the audience on just overcoming that heartbreak and taking that leap of faith on becoming that, taking a leap of faith outside of the darkness and into the light, and then also how they could find your show?
So I would say take time to heal. In the process of healing, you need to get to know yourself, who you are outside of this relationship space. Give yourself grace, because this is a new version of you. This is a new life. You are navigating into a new space, which is life without this person, or life with this person outside of the romantic space. So by it being a new space, you have to give yourself grace and to know that this is something you've never experienced. This is something you've never seen before. So there are going to be days where you're happy. There are going to be days when you're sad, and feel everything. Don't cover it up and act like you're okay when you're not okay. Feel everything so you can heal properly. You can't just keep covering up a wound without putting stuff on it, right? So eventually it'll leave a scar. So in order for you to come out the best version of yourself, you need to take the moment, feel the moment, and heal in the moment. So when you come out of the moment, you are a better person. Your eyes are clearer. You can pick better, because now you're seeing, instead of eyes of trauma, you're seeing with healed eyes. And find something that you can pour your energy into. For us, it's a podcast, but for you, it might be taking a new class, or it might be learning how to drive, a skill or a hobby. Turn your energy into something positive and then pay it forward. Do something for somebody else. Be the person that you needed in that space for a moment in time, because the purpose of us being here is not about just playing woe is me, going through things, going through life. We are meant to go through these things to help other people. So just start supporting other people. Be a safe space for them. And then you'll see things eventually get better and better. So then when that new person comes, now you're not going to be talking about your ex. Now you're not going to be doing anything. You get to know who you are. You get to pick better. Because a lot of times when we get in relationships because of, like you said earlier, because of certain things that we like. Like if I like football, you like football. Okay, let's be in a relationship. Now that you know yourself, you'll know, hey, I don't like when people yell. So that'll be something that you look for. It's kind of like if you were looking for a car, and when you just put in a Toyota Camry, it's going to be 40,000 options. But then when you start specifying what you need in that Toyota Camry, you're going to go from 40,000 to about 40. So just learn who you are so you can make better decisions and show up in better places, happy, healed, and whole. And you can magnetize those same like-minded people, because a lot of the times the people that attract us or attract to us are where we are now. And where you can find me at the Blemish Beauty Podcast every Tuesdays and Thursdays, Apple, Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. And I appreciate you, Dark Law, for having me on the show again. And I love you, nephew.
Love you too, Auntie. And again, like she said, and she said a very good point at the end, like if you don't like people that yell, if you don't know what you want, focus on what you don't want. Again, if you don't know if you know you have anxiety or whatever, let's say people yelling gives you anxiety. Well, that's your moral, that's your value, that's your red flag. First time somebody yells, it's like, hey, I don't like that. That's just like, I don't do the yelling. And if they do it again, then you out. And so, I'd say show grace, on certain things, maybe give people one warning, like, hey, nip it in the bud on the spot. And then after that, then it's clear that that's a pattern of theirs and that's who they are. So it's like, all right, you keep yelling, I'm gone. I already told you the first time. Again, fool me once, I got you, but fool me twice, that's on me. And so this has been a wonderful, wonderful episode 21 inside the Black Garden series. And like I said, I hope you put your Band-Aids on if you needed it. And appreciate everyone tuning in. And so I'll leave you with this. Like we said, the Blemish Beauty's premise: you owe you and own your scars. Own your darkness so you can get to the light. Again, the whispers are broken. The guardian of the voiceless voice has arrived. And so, until next time, it's been Dark Law and Blemish Beauty with Auntie Riri, your favorite Jersey girl. Catch us on September 20th, 2024. Dark Law's birthday, y'all. The release of Black Garden. Until next time, have a good one.